got a lot of content for you. And I'm going to do what may be my last weekend update before I have to change out to the nonpartisan FBI deputy director hat in just a couple of weeks. So I'm going to love these final shows. They're going to be great. Today's show is sponsored by Beam. Go to shopbeam.com/Bongino. Use code Bongino for 47% off your first order. Today's show also sponsored by Patriot Mobile. We won the election, and the fight to restore our great nation is only beginning. Now's the time to take a stand, and Patriot Mobile is leading the charge. They're America's only Christian conservative wireless provider. Patriot Mobile offers a way to vote with your wallet without compromising on quality or convenience. Patriot Mobile isn't just about providing exceptional cell phone service. It's a call to action to defend our rights and freedoms. With Patriot Mobile, you get outstanding nationwide coverage because they operate on all three major networks. If you have cell phone service today, you can get cell phone service with Patriot Mobile with a coverage guarantee. The difference, every dollar you spend with Patriot Mobile supports a company that believes in the First and Second Amendments, the sanctity of life, and our veterans and first responders. Switching is easy. Keep your number, keep your phone, or upgrade. Their 100% U.S.-based customer support team will help you find the perfect plan. So go to patriotmobile.com/Dan or call 972-PATRIOT. Get a free month of service with promo code Dan. Switch to Patriot Mobile today. Defend freedom with every call and text you make. Visit patriotmobile.com/Dan or call 972-PATRIOT. All right, fellas. Ding, ding. Get that bell going. Give me some blackout coffee here. So this may be one of my last weekend updates. I'm debating whether to do one next Monday because a lot of stuff I'll be doing on the weekend will be professional stuff, which I'm not really going to talk about, of course. So this weekend, I went out and spent a good amount of time with a friend in a local restaurant, Blackbird. And I got to tell you, folks, there were a lot of members out there of the Bongino Army who said the nicest things. I could not believe it. Matter of fact, one of the guys I was with said, Dan, I counted 13 people in the first 5 minutes. So to everyone who came up and said hello and expressed their gratitude and congratulations on this new job, new endeavor I'm going to take on. I just want you to know I deeply appreciate it. Wasn't a huge, big weekend, but the next night we went to Lenore's, which is a Palm City restaurant, Italian. Folks, you know the deal. With a last name like Bongino, I'm very sensitive about Italian food. You would be stunned how many Italian food places can't actually do Italian food. Justin just said amen, and his last name is Belial, which is in no way Italian at all. Are you? I don't buy it. I think it's all French. So he's actually as much Italian as I am. My mother was Irish and German. But the food was amazing. Thank you for the hospitality. But here's where it gets interesting. So I go out the same night, Saturday night, and I went to a Bailey Zimmerman concert, and Bailey tore it up. And folks, thank you to the Palm Beach County Sheriff's Office for providing a little blanket of security out there. And the guys, I really deeply appreciate it. It was really nice. We had so many nice people. So it means a lot to me. So there's one of my last weekend updates. It was why did we go to a concert this weekend? Well, Paula had bought the tickets a long time ago, and it's probably our last weekend before we got to start digging into stuff. So I really appreciate everything. All right, I got a big show to get to today. So obviously the big monster story, the level 9 story on a 1 to 10 scale is what happened in the Oval Office on last week on, was it Friday? Folks, the Friday, I'm actually stunned. What we call VOD in the business, video on demand viewing of my show was as high as it was because if you all remember, the Trump-Zelensky blow-up happened after my podcast on Friday. So obviously not being the Stygian witches, give me the eye. I had no ability to see that was going to happen. I mean, we knew it was scheduled, but no one knew this thing was going to blow up. So I was expecting the VOD to collapse because everybody would want to watch what happened after the podcast. We did pretty well, but we got to cover some of it live on the radio. And now taking it all in, Bongino rule. Folks, this was just an unquestionable catastrophe for President Zelensky. Let me tell you why. Up front, what we call bluff, right? Bottom line up front. The golden rule of negotiations, or if you want to always sound smart like John Bolton says it, negotiations. I don't care how you say it. I'm just going to tell you this. Whether it's a legal case, a civil suit, a baseball player's contract, or you're negotiating for military support in a tragic war, the golden rule is this: know who's sitting across the table from you. And I don't know if Zelensky just didn't know that Donald Trump is not to be toyed with, or if he did know and just took bad advice. There's a story out there, I'm applying the Bongino rule to, that a group of Democrats and kind of center-leaning Republicans told Zelensky to go in there and play hardball with President Trump. I'm applying the Bongino rule to that story before I draw a conclusion. It doesn't matter, though. It is your job as the president of a country fighting in this tragic war, no doubt, with a all too much death and destruction. It is your job to know who's sitting across the table. He didn't. Clearly tried the tactic of one-upping Donald Trump, and it didn't work. However, astonishingly, it got worse. President Zelensky did an interview after with Brett Baer from Fox after the blow-up, and still at least appears to imply here, or say directly, your own interpretation matters, that he doesn't need to apologize to President Trump and and by proxy the American people too. Check it out. Listen yourself.
Not hearing from you, Mr. President, a thought that you owe the president an apology.
No, I respect President and I respect American people. And if, I don't know, if I think that we have to be very open and very honest. And I'm not sure that we did something bad. I think maybe sometimes some things we have to discuss out of media, with all respect to democracy and to a free media. But there are things that where we have to understand the position of Ukraine and Ukrainians.
All right. Okay, a couple of things here, a couple of takeaways, because I want to focus on not just the emotions surrounding this. Again, I tell you guys all the time, I don't want to be a fraud or a hypocrite or a phony. It's my biggest fear. You can't be a spreadsheets guy. Hey, man, plus ones or minus ones. Our people to us, plus ones or minus ones, don't get emotional and then get emotional. Obviously, I'm very emotional about this topic because I care about our military. I care about our $30 trillion debt. I care about preventing a nuclear war because I don't want to get dead and I don't want anyone else to get dead either. But let's try to pull the emotion out of it because a lot of people are very angry at President Zelensky and what happened. Why are they angry? I'll make 2 points. Number one, he just kind of admitted what he did wrong without admitting what he did wrong. You folks in the chat, did you catch it? By the way, Haley, I told Haley, she know the rule. Justin, what's the rule if you're in the studio? Everything's fair game. You're in the studio. You don't want to be mentioned. Get out of the studio because once I see you, there's no control. Even if you ask me, there's no controlling it. Folks, I don't even know where I was going with that. Oh, the media. Oh, you got to interact. That's what I was going to say. Haley, you got to interact with the chat. They're here for you. I know you know that, but so we stop someone here. Yeah, you got to go. You have to interact with the chat. So M Torres 61 in the chat is obviously very upset. Shut the spigot off. A lot of people are. But for a second, divorce the emotions. Spreadsheets. He just admitted what the problem was. Did you catch it? He said, we really should handle this stuff out of the media. Whoa. Vita, did you let the chair flow back or something like that? It never happened. I was expecting the chair to stop me. I'm glad I didn't go back harder. That might have been an incident. That might have been a great clip. He just said it. Don't handle this in front of the media, which he tried to handle in front of the media. So keep in mind, again, point one here. He admits that's a problem and says then, I don't think I need to apologize. But here's the problem, folks. He went into the Oval Office, the deal for the rare earth minerals deal, which was a win for everyone. Keep this in mind. The deal had already been agreed to. All President Zelensky had to do was go in the Oval Office. Here, I have this. What pen is this? This is a paper made, I don't know, like 25 cents, who knows? With inflation, probably $75 for the last 4 years of that. All he had to do was sign the deal. But that's not what he did. He went into the Oval Office with a deal already pre-agreed to and tried to negotiate it in front of the media while acknowledging in a later interview that he shouldn't have negotiated in front of the media while also acknowledging or saying that he didn't do anything wrong. But you did. You just said it. What was he negotiating for? Folks, this is important. This involves very, very serious consequences if we get all this wrong. You've got a nuclear-powered enemy invading a foreign country. People are dying. This is serious stuff. It's not time for sarcasm or humor or anything like that. Folks, he wanted a security guarantee from the United States, which had not been pre-negotiated. You don't negotiate that then in front of the media with a Belgian Malinois and a pit bull. You just don't, President Trump and J.D. Vance. You just don't do that. It is incredibly disrespectful. So for all of the folks in the media, both on the center right and the left-wing media that are criticizing President Trump and Vice President Vance, are you aware of what happened, or are you just ignoring it? Because it's fascinating how in the articles where you criticize President Trump and Vice President Vance, you acknowledge that this shouldn't have happened in front of the media. It did happen in front of the media, and you don't renegotiate a deal with cameras on in the Oval Office. So that's point number one. He acknowledges in the Bret Baier interview, we shouldn't have done this in front of the media, but I don't apologize. You can't have it both ways. You understand? Divorce the emotions. That was an unquestioned -1 for everyone involved. And it is without a doubt, I place the blame there on President Zelensky for the reasons I just laid out. You can disagree with him. That's fine. I still have my political opinion hat on for a couple of weeks. You're allowed to have a different one. It's a free country. The second takeaway. Folks, I found Evita. I don't know if Evita's in the studio too here today after her amazing show this morning, but rumble.com/Evita, by the way, for her show. I found this part to be the most offensive. Now, again, I'm trying to divorce the emotions, but, you know, having lost an uncle that I was not alive when he died, but in Vietnam, who died heroically. You can read his story. His name is Gregory Ambrose. He was shot in the back, rescuing his friends. He was shot in the back, not in Tuscaloosa. He was shot in the back in a place called Thu Duc, Vietnam. So when, you know, heroes like my uncle and my grandfather, who made it back from World War II, but named my father John after his battle buddy in World War II, died in the Battle of the Bulge, I find it a little bit offensive when a president of a foreign country, we have provided untold intelligence, weaponry, hundreds of billions of dollars of taxpayer money we're working for. When you come into the Oval Office and you say, quote, there's a nice ocean between us. Yeah, it's a beautiful ocean that's been crossed many times by heroic American military men, women, and support personnel, many who've been left 6 feet under the ground, buried in graves across that ocean. So I'm really sorry, man, but you going into the Oval Office and talking about a nice ocean as if the United States has been sitting on its ass for 200 years, not saving the world over and over and over again, while our kids and our young men come home in body bags, if they come home at all, I think you should really seriously reevaluate that. That is such historical naivete to the point where it's really hard for the first time in a while for me to not be a hypocrite here and incorporate emotions into this. You want to talk about a -1? There's a nice ocean between us? Did you miss the whole Reagan negotiation? By the way, the entire collapse of the Soviet Empire, which decimated Ukraine, the famine, look it up in case you're someone who doesn't like me and you're historically naive. Look up what happened to Ukraine with the famine. That wasn't us. That was the Soviet Union. Why is the Soviet Union no more? Anybody know? Because of us. Because of what we did. Because of what Reagan did. And presidents before and after. It wasn't just Reagan. We were the ones who, through significant military buildup and fighting and death and destruction around the world, we were the ones who did that. So President Zelensky, you don't have to listen to me. I'm not a citizen of your country. I'm not a political advisor. I'm not even a political person at all in a couple of weeks. I'm just telling you, as an American citizen, you've got people out there right now, including my congressman in this district. His name's Brian Mast. He has no legs. He didn't lose them to infection. He didn't lose them to gangrene or athlete's foot. He had his legs blown off. You know where? Across the nice ocean. in a foreign land by a bomb that he was trying to defuse. So you just may want to reevaluate that perspective. Kind of hard to get back to +1, -1 when I hear something like that. When I heard him say that, I'll tell you, I asked producer Jim, because it was all happening live on the radio show. I said, can you rewind that? I want to be sure he said that. You have a nice ocean, as if as if this country was birthed yesterday. You understand the history of this country? The heroic history of revolution against the British Empire, where the possibilities of us winning that war were 10,000 to 1. You know who our forefathers were? This is a country of heroes and patriots. Don't talk to us like we're little kids here, as if we haven't defended democracy around the world for a long time. I suggest you go back on one of these shows. I don't care who it is, Brett Baer or Bear Bread. And you don't only apologize to President Trump, but you apologize to the American people. No one wants to see you lose this war. Nobody. But there has to be some path to peace that doesn't involve the piling up of body bags. Okay. So let me just play this one too, because before we go to take a quick break here. Here is President Zelensky discussing the future relationship with President Trump, suggesting it can be salvaged. Again, without some kind of rapprochement here and some recognition of what happened in the Oval Office, I'm not so sure that's the case, but check this out.
Do you think your relationship with Donald Trump, President Trump, after today, can be salvaged?
Can be? Yes, of course, because it's relations more than two presidents. It's the historical relations, strong relations between our people. And that's why I always began with to thank your people, from our people. And this is the most important. And of course, thankful to President and of course to Congress, but first of all to your people. Your people helped to save our people. People, the first. Human rights, the first. This is very, very important. And we are thankful and sorry for this. I mean, we wanted very much to have only strong relations, and I very count that we will have it.
There's a lot going on there. And by the way, this apology that I'm suggesting is not an apology for the sake of an apology. It's not some kind of chest puffing thing. Zelensky needs to understand that the American people are a very diverse group of people with different views on Ukraine. You're asking President Trump to sell the American people on a continued vision of support. You think this is the last image they want the American people to see? Come on, man. I'm just one guy in a studio sitting here with a staff here of less than 10 people. Do I have to explain this to you? That's not how this works. All right, let me take a quick break, get back to the show. Folks, the average person today is feeling the financial strain now more than ever. Expenses are up, wages aren't keeping pace, and many people are finding it nearly impossible to make ends meet. With little left after covering the basics, it's no surprise that many are resorting to credit cards just to get by, often carrying high balances and interest rates in the 20s or even 30s. If you're a homeowner stuck in this cycle of mounting debt, call my friends at American Financing. Their salary-based mortgage consultants are saving homeowners an average of $800 a month, helping you put your hard-earned money back where it belongs. Plus, if you act now, you might even be able to skip your next mortgage payment. There are no upfront fees, so it costs you nothing to find out how much you could save each month. It's time to break free from the stress of debt. Call American Financing today and take control of your financial future. 888-994-7660. That's 888-994-7660. Or go online at AmericanFinancing.net. Again, it's a .net address. AmericanFinancing.net. NMLS 122334. NMLSConsumerAccess.org. Thank you, American Financing. Also brought to you today by Beam. I've been working with Beam some time now. I want to introduce you now to one of their new products, Beam's Dream Capsules. The Dream Capsules contain the same ingredients that come together to help give you your best night's sleep. As you can tell, I'm a little energetic today. Beam is proudly founded in America, run by people who share our values, hard work, integrity, and delivering results. It's a science-backed nighttime blend packed with ingredients shown to improve sleep so you can wake up refreshed and ready to take on the day. Dream is a powerful, all-natural blend of reishi, magnesium, L-theanine, apigenin, and melatonin. Beam's already helped improve over 17.5 million nights of sleep, helping people across the country wake up and feel their best. So here's the deal. Beam is giving my listeners the ultimate Patriot discount of 47% off. Try their best. I love that. Try their best-selling dream capsules. Get up to 47% off for a limited time. Go to shopbeam.com/Bongino. Use code Bongino at checkout. That's shopbeam.com/Bongino. Use code Bongino for up to 47% off. Support an American company. Invest in yourself. Start getting the best night of sleep of your life tonight. Thank you, Beam. Okay, so folks, there's something going on here. President Zelensky needs to understand, as I said before the break, that we are a constitutional republic. We are not a direct democracy. We are what a constitutional republic is, a form of a representative democracy. In other words, in a direct democracy, people vote on everything. Everything. It's not a practical way to run a country this size. So our founders chose this other system, a republic, which is a beautiful system. We love it, but it's a form of representative democracy. It means, however, that there needs to be the political will to do something. People in the United States, voters, by the way, in both parties, more Republican than Democrat, and you know what? Cue up that Harry N thing. I'm going to play that next. Go out of order a little bit. I'll show you the polling on this. You need the political will to keep this going because this country operates by consent of the governed. So Zelensky needs to understand that what happened in the Oval was a disaster. I don't care what the media says, right-leaning media or left-leaning media. There are so many people, just go to Twitter. There are so many people upset about this. Just look on Twitter. I mean, it's not an official polling sample. I'll get you that in a second in case you think I'm just throwing Twitter examples out there. The polling behind this is not great either. He needs to understand that. He's putting President Trump in a bad position. But second, there's a threat in this, too, with the nice ocean thing. I was just kind of discussing this with Avita. What's going on here, and you're seeing with this class picture, VO that if you could, the class picture of President Zelensky visiting the EU and other European Union countries afterwards, which is fine. This is not a problem, by the way. This is great. But the implied threat here, especially from the EU, which you've seen with Germany and others, which shouldn't happen, is, hey, you know what? We don't need you guys. We're kind of going to do our own thing. Well, I'm not sure that's the case. I'm not sure that's the case. This is a problem that's been addressed, by the way, by Republican and Democrat lawmakers under Republican and Democrat presidents in the past, where there's been this schism, and you can look it up, between old and new Europe. They don't all feel the same way. You are going to need us. And yes, we need you too. The European Union is a massive trading partner for the United States. You can't think about this with simple minds. But you've seen it, especially if you view the commentary from Germany and others, and even out of France. There's this kind of implied threat that not only is there this new Europe, old Europe, but there's a new U.S., old U.S., and a new U.S. we don't need as much. You absolutely are going to need us. But this is your backyard. That's just a geographic fact. It's not an insult to the EU countries. This is your backyard. Russia is a bigger geographic problem, location-wise, for you than it is for us. It's still a problem for us. We get that. But we need you to step up. The security umbrella for the United States has been a generational, obviously a thing for us through NATO and other alliances, but you need the political will to keep it going. Here's CNN, again, in case you think I'm making this up. This is why this apology and a repairing of this relationship, if it's even possible, is going to have to start from Zelensky and Ukraine. You got to develop the support with the American people before President Trump moves. Check this out.
Republicans on the Russia-Ukraine war, look at this, want a quick end of the war, but Russia still keeps the captured land from Ukraine. Look at this. Look at the majority of Republicans. 74%, three-quarters of Republicans, near unanimity on that particular subject, compared to just 25% who say that they support Ukraine's fight, even if it means a longer-lasting war. The bottom line is this, it's very clear, very, very clear that Republicans want an end to this war. They are willing for Ukraine to give up that land that Russia currently has. They do not want this war extended. And I think what we saw yesterday in the White House was a clear illustration of that Republican point of view. Donald Trump representing Republicans well on this issue.
Folks, receipts matter, okay? Evidence matters. We are in a republic. You get the point. You have to build political capital for these things. I'm not sure Zelensky understood that. His people may have, but he made a catastrophic error here. Here's Marco Rubio, which again, plus ones, minus ones. I think he did an amazing job explaining this. Here's Rubio, Secretary Rubio, just about a week ago, explaining why President Trump is upset with Zelensky. For those out there putting out the narrative that this was a like some planned assault on Zelensky in the Oval Office, that's just not true. I'm telling you from multiple sources, I've read publicly, by the way, that was not the intention of the Oval Office meeting. It was just to sign the deal. It was Zelensky who turned it negative with the nice oceans comment and then suggesting that diplomacy, questioning J.D. Vance, Vice President Vance, on what diplomacy was. Here's, this is a week ago, Secretary Rubio explaining why President Trump's upset with Zelensky. Check this out.
I think President Trump is very upset at President Zelensky, and in some cases, and rightfully so. Look, number one, Joe Biden had frustrations with Zelensky. People shouldn't forget it. There are newspaper articles out there about how he cursed at him in a phone call because Zelensky, instead of saying thank you for all your help, is immediately out there messaging what we're not doing or what he's not getting. I think the second thing is, frankly, I was personally very upset because we had a conversation with President Zelensky, the Vice President and I, three of us. And we discussed this issue about the mineral rights. And we explained to them, look, we want to be in a joint venture with you, not because we're trying to steal from your country, but because we think that's actually a security guarantee. If we're your partner in an important economic endeavor, we get to get paid back some of the money the taxpayers have given, close to $200 billion. And it also, now we have a vested interest in the security of Ukraine. And he said, sure, we want to do this deal. It makes all the sense in the world. The only thing is I need to run it through my legislative process. They have to approve it. I read 2 days later that Zelensky's out there saying, I rejected the deal. I told him no way that we're not doing that. Well, that's not what happened in that meeting. So you start to get upset by somebody. We're trying to help these guys. One of the points that the president made in his messaging is not that we don't care about Ukraine, but Ukraine is on another continent. You know, it doesn't directly impact the daily lives of Americans. We care about it because it has implications for our allies and ultimately for the world. There should be some level of gratitude here about this. And when you don't see it and you see him out there accusing the president of living in a world of disinformation, that's very counterproductive.
The chat's going wild on this, by the way. I'm reading all your comments watching this. Folks, this is a masterclass interview right here. This is a huge +1. There are two takeaways from that interview, which I'm sure a lot of you in the chat caught. And this is why this is perfect right here, this interview. Number one, President Trump knows that there may not be the political will in this republic right now for a direct security guarantee. Follow me here. In other words, we will put U.S. troops on the ground. He understands, for many of you, I'm reading your chat comments right now, that that's a no-go. So he understands this is going to have to be messaged. That's what happens in politics. So did you hear what Rubio said there, Secretary Rubio? Well, if we can engage in this joint venture where at least the American people feel like they're being paid back for their efforts with these critical rare earth minerals, which are called rare earth minerals because they're rare, what he's saying is, did you hear what he said there? That we have a security interest then in preserving this economic benefit, which will assist both countries. Do you get kind of the winky, winky, nod, nod, where Zelensky must have missed this somehow? And then the second part, Secretary Rubio is crystal clear, referencing, quote, the American taxpayer. He's telling you exactly what I just told you, that if you don't understand as Ukrainian lawmakers and the president of Ukraine, that the taxpayers, this is a consent of the governed country, are ultimately in charge, and you don't understand political messaging, then there's really nothing left to talk about. Brilliant interview. Sometimes this international diplomacy in front of the camera, like you just saw with Secretary Rubio, is best conducted by saying things without saying them. Do you get what I'm saying? Zelensky didn't understand that. He just said it. And you never got in trouble for things you didn't say. The best advice I ever got in media, which applies in diplomacy as well. There's an expletive in it, but whatever. Nobody ever got in trouble for shutting them up, okay? You never get in trouble for something you don't say. Major, major diplomatic disaster for him. And a lot of people out there were very, very proud of our president and vice president for standing up for the interests of our country. Can't let that happen in our Oval Office. Quick break here. We'll get back to the show. I got more for you here, including a GB news anchor who just, one of my favorite, probably my favorite cut of the entire show, just tears it up, explaining this situation. This is great. Last break. Hey, during tax season, your sensitive information does a lot of traveling to places you can't control. Stopping off at a payroll, your accountant or tax preparer, countless other data centers on its way to the IRS. Any of them can expose you to identity theft because they have all the info on the W-2, just a ticket for criminals to steal your identity. No wonder the IRS reported that tax fraud due to identity theft went up 20% last year. You need LifeLock. They monitor millions of data points per second and alert you to the threats you could miss. If your identity is stolen, LifeLock's U.S.-based restoration specialist will fix it, backed by the $1 million protection package, and restoration is guaranteed or your money back. So don't let identity thieves take you for a ride. Get LifeLock protection for tax season and beyond. Join now. Save up to 40% in your first year. Call 1-800-LifeLock. Use promo code Bongino or go to LifeLock.com/Bongino for 40% off. Terms apply. And our last sponsor today is, you guys are quick. Just right there. You don't go out and buy a life jacket when the boat's already sinking, and you don't buy gold when the economy has already collapsed. Clearly, others are heeding this advice as gold hit all-time highs. The first part of 2025, it's not too late for you too. I use Birch Gold, BIRCH. It's the company I buy gold from. Birch Gold specializes in helping you convert an existing IRA or 401k into a tax-sheltered IRA and physical gold for no money out of pocket. Just listen to this 5-star review. Knowledgeable, helpful, no pressure. That's why you go with Birch Gold. That's why they've been with me for a while. Get your free info kit on gold by texting the word Dan to the number 989898. There's no obligation, just useful information. So with an A+ rating with the Better Business Bureau and countless 5-star reviews, text Dan to 989898. Let the experts at Birch Gold help you secure your future today with gold message and data rates reply. So thank you, Birch Gold. This is one of my favorite cuts of the day, maybe my favorite in a while here. Here's a GB News anchor, Matthew Goodwin. He's explaining the Trump and Ukraine situation to a BBC panel, and he really seems to get what's going on. If you blind yourself, if you can, if it's possible, to the subjective I hate Trump nonsense on the left, and you really try to figure out what really happened, you know this gentleman, Matthew Goodwin, is right. Check this out.
A lot of people who like to start wars are suddenly very angry with one guy who wants to stop this war. And there are people who have taken us into one disaster after another, war in Iraq, Afghanistan, Syria, Libya, who have spent much of today on social media attacking Trump. What we're seeing, I think, is a reset of geopolitics, a reset. We're seeing the breakdown of what you might call the international liberal world order, which saw 20, 30 years of one foreign policy disaster after another. And Trump, I was at the inauguration in America, and people around the president are basically saying, they've had enough of that constant interventionism. They've had enough of Europe, by the way, again, maybe a controversial point, but Europe not paying its way on defence. And they've looked to Germany, they've looked to France, they've looked to Italy, they've looked to the UK, and they said, what are you guys doing? Take Germany as an example. Germany under the Greens, absolutely bonkers, becoming more dependent upon Russia because of its ridiculous energy policy, becoming more dependent upon China, and then turning around and criticising Donald Trump when he says we've got to end this war. I mean, I'm sorry, it doesn't make sense anymore.
Folks in the chat, come on, give me some feedback. Are you feeling about that audio video clip like I am? That guy just nail it? You see what he's saying? Exactly what I told you before. Obviously, we have an interest in what happens in Russia, Ukraine, all over the world. The United States has relationships everywhere. The question is not, do we have an interest or not? It's who has a greater interest. And this GB News guest, Matthew Goodwin, just nails it. To Germany and other countries in the EU, that is right there. Russia is there. You have countries over there that are, this is your actual geopolitical backyard. And he mentions Germany. This is a really significant problem where you have this green movement in Germany, which has gotten away and into all these Green New Deal type technologies, many of them which require electrification of the economy, electrification of their vehicle fleet. You see their Volkswagen struggling over there. Other German companies, they get away from gas, diesel-powered cars, right? And what's the problem? They require a lot of these cars, rare earth minerals, lithium, and other things, which, ironically, they're going to have to rely on places like China to get. So it's really hard for folks like Matthew, me, and others to accept the lecture on defending democracy when you're moving your economy in a green direction that depends more on the CCP. Anyone dispute that? Folks, the left in this country and around the world does not. I suggest you kind of lick your finger and see where the political winds are going, because the Schatz doctrine, named for Senator Brian Schatz, who is a Democrat, the Schatz doctrine of continue to do liberal stuff and just talk about it differently is not going to work, because doing that stuff leads to X outcome, and X outcome is not good. Here's what I mean. They just don't seem to have gotten the electoral lesson that came out of 2024. Here's Governor J.D. Pritzker. He seems to think that messaging is the problem. That's not what I just said to you. The point I'm trying to make is you can talk however you want about a policy. You can use whatever euphemisms you want. Say defund the police. You can talk about it how Joe Biden did when he was running for office, where he said, whatever is it, reallocating funds. Talk about it however you want. In the end, it results in the destruction of local police forces because you're moving money away from enforcing crime in the street. You can talk about that all you want. Eventually, crime is going to go up. It's not a messaging problem. It's a policy problem. I'll prove it to you in a second. Listen to this clip first from J.D. Pritzker, and you'll see how this is going to be a huge problem for the Democrats going forward. Check this out.
Do you think that Democrats have lost touch with the working class voters? And do you have any suggestions as to how they could potentially start to remedy that?
Yeah, what I don't think is that we should change the fundamental policies of the Democratic Party to move to the right to try to address this. The problem in the last election was messaging. Honestly, we have the right position. I'll give you an example. We're for raising the minimum wage.
That's your argument right now? You really believe raising the minimum wage is what's going to alter the trajectory of the Democrat Party, which lost all 7 swing states? Come on. You can't be serious about that. This is not a stupid guy, okay? Policy-wise, ideologically, but the guy could not be more wrong. But this is not he doesn't really believe this. Folks, I said I was going to explain this. If you really believe that, and you're J.D. Pritzker, right? Governor Pritzker. If you really believe that it's a messaging problem and not a policy problem, then why do you keep using euphemisms to describe your policy problems? Why not just talk about them directly? If the policies are so popular, then why are you so concerned about the messaging? I'll give you a quick example. When the MAGA crowd talks about tax cuts, that's exactly what we mean. There's no euphemisms for it. No one talks about it like a financial haircut on the marginal tax rate side and the income band. But people don't talk like that. They say, yeah, we like tax cuts. Why? Because we want the American people to spend more of their money. You can message it all you want. The policy's popular. It's a huge mistake. President Trump, again, has a unique way to cut through this. He put up this True Social post. We should spend less time worrying about Putin and more time worrying about migrant rape gangs, drug lords, murderers, and people from mental institutions entering our country so that we don't end up like Europe. I mean, this is what, he's not saying Putin's not a problem. He said that many times. He's just suggesting to you that there are issues that bleed for the American people, meaning they feel them. They feel them every day, like actually feel them. You know, I hate the word literally. Well, I keep saying it because I hate the word so much. It's ironic that I keep saying I hate that. Get it out of your head. These things, inflation, which has been a 4+ year problem we've been dealing with. It's not going to be solved overnight. I've said that many times. The border, which is just open border, which has ravaged American communities. These are the kind of things that are directly impacting the lives of the American people. If you really believe on the left in this Schatz doctrine that keep doing left-wing stuff like men in the women's room and men in girls' sports, people are going to notice. Then this happened this weekend. This is absolutely unexplainable. These are a series of Boston officials, including the mayor. There was this attack this weekend by a suspect with a knife off-duty police officer engages. Now, you would think, number one, you'd at least let the investigation kind of materialize and the facts come out, apply the Bongino rule, right? Facts matter, before you made a public comment about it. But imagine being the leader of a great city like Boston and coming out in front of the cameras, and your first comments are to express condolences to the suspect in the case with the knife, rather than what appears to be a rather heroic incident by people involved, including heroism by the off-duty police officer. Your first comments are condolences for the other guy? No, this actually happened. Check this out.
My condolences and all of our thoughts are with the family of the individual whose life has been lost.
Our thoughts and prayers are with the family and friends of the individual who's been lost.
So our condolences go to the individual who was killed tonight.
Justin just said to me, Dan, you know, every time conservatives and Republicans send thoughts and prayers, which they mean, we're actually thinking about people and we pray for them. Yes, we do pray for people. I do it all the time. Matter of fact, I ask for your prayers and guidance going forward. And I'm not even remotely ashamed about that and never will. I'm actually proud of that. I thought they didn't like thoughts and prayers. But when it comes to a suspect in the case, in a violent crime, quote, all of their condolences, that was the mayor, all go to the suspect. Folks, you know, the interesting part about this show is this whole life change event happens for me. Is I enjoy doing the commentary. I'm going to miss it. But the commentary part is an addition to the substance. The substance is just easy to find. In other words, I don't need to make up what the mayor of Boston said. I can just play it like that actually happened. Right. Right. What about the guy, you know, what about the off-duty police officer who, by the way, was off-duty, didn't ask for any of this? What about that person? When we were going through the rundown, I said, this one's really hard to believe. Again, going back to just to tie this back to Zelensky in the beginning. You never get in trouble for things you don't say. Maybe just best to say we're still gathering the facts. It's a terrible incident. We will report as they come in, but here's what we know so far. Maybe just stick to that. Just an idea. Here's the Massachusetts governor, Mary Healy, talking about, I mean, Massachusetts is a wonderful state. You ever been up there? In Boston and New York, they have this baseball rivalry. But I'm going to tell you, having worked with many Boston Secret Service agents in my last line of work, the greatest guys. You all know who you are, too. I mean, there was a crew of them, and they were the best. Massachusetts is a great state. Boston's an amazing city. But imagine being represented by Governor Healy, who is being overrun again by sanctuary city illegal immigration policies. They support the liberals over there. And then blaming Republicans for using immigration as a scare tactic. You see the fake kind of 180 they're trying to do here to flip the argument and tell you a story rather than a story. It's not a scare tactic. It's real. There are actually criminal aliens in our cities like Boston doing bad stuff. Listen to this.
One of the most visible strategies Republican governors adopted during the height of the migrant crisis was sending buses and planes of migrants to blue states like yours. Very memorably, Martha's Vineyard. It was a stunt, but you could argue that it worked. It made immigration enforcement into a blue state issue, which it had not been. Shouldn't it always have been, though? I mean, is it not fair to say that Democrats really did not take this issue seriously?
I don't know. I don't see it that way. I think Democrats in Congress were the ones who time after time were pushing for immigration reform. And that's what I saw. It was a stunt. It was a stunt what happened. I think it, the buses to New York, to Illinois, to Colorado, I think the Republicans did a really effective job of making this an issue and, frankly, of scaring a lot of people.
I find this line of reasoning, by the way, I don't want to forget this. I got an Adam Schiff thing coming up. It's not part of the show, guys. Don't worry about it. I just thought about it. I find this line of reasoning anywhere ranging from absurd to ridiculous. It was a stunt. Well, what was the stunt? When did the buses and the Martha's Vineyard incident from Florida regarding illegal immigrants, when did that happen? Folks in the chat, who was the president? Okay, it was Joe Biden. So I don't understand what the stunt was. If you were so proud of the open border, you did nothing to solve that, by the way, President Trump solved in less than 30 days. Just look at the numbers. I thought you couldn't solve it. If you were so proud of the open border, which you were, you publicly said one thing, but behind the scenes, make no mistake, you did everything you could to facilitate the flow of people violating the law into the country. If you were so proud of it, then I don't understand why it was a stunt to take some of those people from a congested illegal immigrant population in Texas, geographically on the border, and relocate them into places where you say you want them, sanctuary cities and elsewhere. I don't understand what the stunt is. I'm not trying to be an asshole. I'm just telling you, what's the stunt? Seriously, what's the stunt? You should celebrate this. Why were the citizens of Martha's Vineyard and elsewhere so eager to remove people they said they supported? The stunt was only on your end, not on our end. We just highlighted what you were doing, opening the border. You say you're a sanctuary city, provide sanctuary. Why should Texas have to support everyone? They don't have the resources. I said I was going to address this too. It was interesting this weekend. I was sitting around and did you guys see the video Adam Schiff put out? Incredible. I mean, you want to talk about the nerve. A guy knee-deep in the collusion hoax, the laptop hoax, a bunch of documented frauds on the American people, puts out a video. He seems very upset about what's happening with me and my career and moving on. And it was interesting. He took some cuts of the show. So, he took some actual cuts of the show, which they were actually pretty good cuts, too. So, I'm just going to say again, people reaching out that I have a show. I'm proud of the show. I love my show. And I guess we have a lot of new guests today, too. People apparently watching this. We get a lot of media people. So I still have a couple opportunities here to slide in some political opinions. And, yeah, I'm proud of my show, what we did. So feel free to use them. You can do, like, super cuts and everything like that. Maybe music videos if you want to throw some music in there. I'm going to play this other cut for you because here's another. Yeah, feel free. I'm not much of a singer, but we try. Here's Hakeem Jeffries. Again, this is another one. Talking about a leader of the Democrats, of course, on the House side. Talking about Republicans in this parade of horribles. The only party putting out there a parade of horribles. Grandma's going to die. Young kids are going to die. Diseases are going to run rampant. Puppies are going to die. Are the Democrats. But watch them do this euphemisms 180 flipperoo here and try to pretend it's us doing this as we repair all the damage done in the last 4 years. Check this out.
What we've seen from the Trump administration over the last several weeks is just a flood of unprecedented extremism and a parade of horribles that continue to be unleashed on the American people. While at the same time, the Trump administration is not focused on solving the problems of everyday Americans. We're continuing to make sure that we focus on trying to make life better for everyday Americans. Fundamentally, that's why we were sent to Washington, D.C. We have to drive down the high cost of living. We have to secure the border. We have to keep communities safe. We have to protect our dreamers and farm workers and families. These are the things that matter.
Parade of horribles? What parade of horribles? I'm unsure. Listen, I'm going to be candid with you, okay, where we are. Inflation is a persistent problem. We should not do what they did to us and pretend inflation wasn't an issue when it's a Democrat and I'll be like, oh, Donald Trump did it. He's in office 30 days. I said to you before the election, and I'll say now, it is a difficult problem to solve. There is a ton of U.S. debt out there. The money supply is rather large. If Fed policy is integrated with this, it's not an easy problem. Been totally candid with you. The border, however, yes, we still are suffering through 4 years of an open border and millions of people in the country illegally. The border problem, nothing's ever solved, but is as close to fixed as you're ever going to see. Just look at the numbers. It's only been 30 days. So what parade of horribles are you talking about? Help is coming for law enforcement. You can see with the direction Secretary Noem and others are taking, Director Patel, me in the coming weeks, are deadly serious about keeping this homeland safe. AG Pam Bondi, this is how this is going to go down. So what parade of horribles are you talking about? Only parade of horribles is coming through you. All right, folks, thanks again for tuning in. We'll be on the radio show today. It's on Rumble at noon in just a few minutes. If you want to watch that, it's rumble.com/Bongino. Make sure you give Evita's show a follow. In the 9 a.m. hour, rumble.com/Evita, EVITA. She tore it up this morning. You met Haley. I hope you liked her. You're going to love her show going forward. Launching Stat. I will give you a date. I'll give you a URL on Rumble. Coming very, very, very soon. You can check out updates at silverlock.com, Silver L-O-C-H. That is Haley Karania. Glad you met her. And you know I'm never late for the show, but she filled it anyway. That was my idea, by the way. Am I a little crazy? Should I not have done that? I called Michael yesterday. I'm like, Michael, what do you think of this? He's like, yeah, go for it, man. It's your show. Do what you want. Thanks for tuning in, folks. See you on the radio show here in a little bit. And back here live tomorrow at 11 a.m. Eastern Time. Today's show is sponsored by Lumen. You know when your metabolism is working properly, you can feel the benefits in literally every aspect of your life. I found a valuable tool that helps me get insight into creating an improved metabolism for my body. You know I love life hacks. It's called Lumen, L-U-M-E-N. Lumen is one of the world's first handheld metabolic coaches. It's a device that can help measure your metabolism through your breath. And on the app, it lets you know if you're burning fat or carbs, provides tailored guidance to help improve your nutrition, workouts, sleep, and stress management. All you have to do is breathe into the Lumen first thing in the morning. It'll analyze your metabolism, indicating whether you're burning fat or carbs. Then Lumen gives you a personalized nutrition plan for that day based on your measurements. So take the next step, improve your wellness. Go to lumen.me/Bongino to get 20% off your Lumen. That's lumen.me/Bongino for 20% off your purchase. Thank you, Lumen, for sponsoring the show. Your statements and products have not been evaluated by the FDA and not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease or condition. All right, fellas, let's go. There's that bell. I'm obviously going to miss you guys the most and my crew, although I will see them as they run other shows. I mean, they're down here in Florida. It's not like I'm disappearing, going to Mars or something. But I'm going to tell you, that bell in the morning, I know it's showtime. It's game time. I may put the Kenny bell. I'll send you the MP3. Can I take the Kenny bell? I mean, this is you guys know the story of the Kenny bell? A guy named Kenny sent us this bell for when the bell would crap out. It actually works. I'm going to have to hit the Kenny bell myself to get everything going in the morning. So thank you, Kenny, if you're still out there. If you're in the chat, let us know. That right? I do. I know. I'm gonna have someone come in and bang that thing. Folks, listen, one thing about Donald Trump. This is, I say it all the time. This guy is so underestimated on the political front. I'm not telling you everything's 4D chess. I'm not telling you the guy's one of the Avengers. I'm just telling you he has unbelievable political diplomacy negotiating skills that are so frequently overlooked that it's hilarious to watch people who've gotten it wrong for years on foreign policy. For years. They're in think tanks, they're PhDs, they're geopolitical international diplomacy experts with air quotes. For years, they've told us, don't relocate the embassy to Jerusalem. You're never going to get a deal without the Palestinians. China's going to be fine if you let them in the WTO. The EU is going to support NATO with 2% of GDP. They have been wrong on just about everything. You give me 10 big foreign policy prescriptions by so-called geopolitical diplomacy experts. 9 of them were right. 12 of them were wrong out of 10. But there's only 10. Exactly. That's my point. President Trump has this unique ability to just kind of like, Stephen King's not a big fan of mine, obviously. You remember The Mist? He just like parts the mist and gets right to the point. So this happened yesterday. Keir Starmer, who is the new Prime Minister of the UK, was at the White House because they need the United States, the United Kingdom. It's, we need them for trade too. We're not on an island here in the United States by ourselves. And Donald Trump gets that. And do you ever notice when he has a foreign leader in the White House, he always does this white glove treatment? Let me tell you something. I don't want, and Guy, shut me up if I'm going too long. He stops me. I'm going to tell you something about this guy personally, the President of the United States, Donald Trump. Listen close here. I'm not telling you I'm his best friend. I'm not name dropping. You sound like a jerk when you say that. But I've been around him in private enough. He has a near magical ability to make the person standing in front of him always feel like the most special person in the room. You ask anyone who's been around him. Nobody does it like him. He took the honey out yesterday and made this relationship again work, and we need it. Here he is, though, also dropping the hammer here a little bit, talking about tariffs and how it's going to work right in front of the UK Prime Minister. Check this out.
To persuade you not to put tariffs on the UK.
He tried. He was working hard, I'll tell you that. He earned whatever the hell they pay him over there. But he tried. I think there's a very good chance that in the case of these two great friendly countries, I think we could very well end up with a real trade deal where the tariffs wouldn't be necessary. We'll see. But he earned whatever they pay him. He earned today. He was working hard at lunch.
Thank you, Sean Cash. Love the white shirt. Someone asked, is it date night? Of course, it's one of our last ones. So of course it is. That's why. Do you get why this clip is so important to open up the show? Folks, we don't cover a ton of foreign policy on the show. Why? Because there's so much going on domestically. I'd like to take care of issues in the United States first. However, listen to me, beam in. This segment is not about foreign policy. It's about Donald Trump, the negotiator. The left wants you to believe and tell you a story that Donald Trump is some unhinged negotiating lunatic who fires off ridiculous things and doesn't mean it. No, I promise you, he means a lot of it. He is very seriously considering a bold tariff agenda as a negotiating tool. I'm not a huge fan of tariffs. I've said that over and over, but if we can use it to reduce tariffs as a negotiating tool, which I believe in the end we're going to get to, they can be effective. But did you notice when he's got Keir Starmer in front of him, who is, by the way, a pretty devout left-leaning guy. He's not one of us in the MAGA movement. He's certainly not a conservative populist by any respect. But do you see how the guy who's supposedly an unhinged lunatic is out there and right in front of the media and the United Kingdom press that's watching this? He manages to kind of dial down the temperature just enough that they know he's serious about tariffs, but that he's a negotiator too. Does that make sense? I'm telling you the truth. I'm telling you that the tariffs may not happen. It's up to him. It's not up to us. And he's going to work that out with the U.S. Trade Rep and everyone else. Howard Lutnick over at Commerce, Bessent over at Treasury. But don't fall in this leftist trap where you get caught every single time falling for every Truth Social post as if he isn't using it as a tactical negotiating tactic. I'm going to leave that part there. Here's Donald Trump again yesterday at the meeting, echoing words of Ronald Reagan, one of my favorite presidents, the trust but verify front. Again, I thought Donald Trump is an unhinged lunatic. This is what the left wants you to believe. He sounds very Reagan-esque here, talking about, hey, listen, I'm willing to negotiate with Russia. Hey, guys, for who in the chat, you guys are 50 or above or 40 or above, do you remember this president called Ronald Reagan, double R? You do? Pretty popular guy, won 2 massive elections. You think he negotiated with the Soviet Union at the time? No. Did you read a history book? Him negotiating with Gorbachev? How are you going to get anything done if you're not talking to these people? If you can explain that to me like I'm a 12-year-old, I'd appreciate it. Hey, we're going to get, here's what we need. We're going to get to the end of the highway. Here's what we want from them. But we're not going to drive there? Here's Trump echoing the words of Ronald Reagan that, hey, I'm willing to negotiate with Putin, but we're going to trust but verify. Listen to this. This is very important. Check this out.
You know, it's trust and verify. Let's call it that. And I think we both can be that way. You have to verify because you never know what's going to happen. I know a lot of people that you would say no chance that they would ever deceive you. And they're the worst people in the world. I know others that you would guarantee they would deceive you. And you know what? They're 100% honorable. So you never know what you're getting. No, I have confidence that if we make a deal, it's going to hold.
Listen, I was 2 points and takeaways from this. Number one, Donald Trump understands that we need certain things from people. One of them are rare earth minerals. This deal in Ukraine over rare earths is a huge W for us. We need those rare earths, folks. We cannot function as an advanced economy without them. You want them from China or you want them from Ukraine? He also knows Vladimir Putin does not want this deal. Why does Vladimir Putin, folks in the chat, not want us to do a business deal with Ukraine? I told you this yesterday, because some of these mines are in areas that Russia would like to get their hands on. They're going to have a really hard time taking these areas if we have an interest in the economic production of rare earths, because I can guarantee you Donald Trump is going to defend that. Do you get where I'm going with this? I have never seen a human being more underestimated in my life for his political skills than President Trump, ever. And I get it. You had lefties out there, folks in the swampy right that don't like Donald Trump. Oh, look at Dan Bongino. No, President Trump and I have disagreed on a lot of issues. Some on the show. He's not the type of guy who, when you disagree with him, you're out of his inner circle. Obviously, he's the one who selected me as the deputy director of the FBI. You don't have to agree with the guy on everything. I just ask that you go into it with a clear head. And don't take the other approach either. Oh, this guy's crazy. How crazy is he? How crazy is a deal where we say, Ukraine, you got something we need, rare earths. We have something you need, weapons. Russia does not like this deal. We don't like that Russia's keeping this war ongoing. I've got a bargaining chip against Putin, this rare earth deal in Ukraine, and I'm going to use it. And then I'm going to go to Putin, and Putin may say, well, you got to deal with Ukraine? Well, we have rare earths too. Maybe we can do a deal with you. Good trade, ladies and gentlemen, makes good partners. It's really hard to go enter into World War III with a country you have a significant economic interest in. It's one of the reasons China, by the way, I'm not telling you we're not going to, I hope we don't, but it's one of the reasons China is going to have to think twice about starting a conflict with us. They have trillions of dollars of U.S. assets that would collapse if they start World War III. I'm not telling you it's going to stop them. I'm telling you it's going to make them think twice. Trump is smarter than most of his critics. That's the irony of this whole thing. But they're not going to get stepped on either. So I gave you a little bit of the honey up front, where he does this thing where he dials the temperature down in front of people. He lets the United Kingdom press see we're not the enemy, but we're serious about our negotiations. Brilliant. Little bit of this, little bit of that. You remember the old tune from the night? Little bit of this, little bit of... That's what he does, and he does better than anyone. Here's J.D. Vance, our vice president, who's letting Keir Starmer from the United Kingdom know that their ongoing attacks on free speech, which are serious, folks, people showing up about online posts, that's not going to be accepted either. And Vice President Vance, and I'm sure President Trump knew exactly where Vice President Vance was going to go with this. They made sure to get this in front of an international audience, that's not acceptable either. They are not going to be stepped on either. Check this out.
We do have, of course, a special relationship with our friends in the UK and also with some of our European allies. But we also know that there have been infringements on free speech that actually affect not just the British. Of course, what the British do in their own country is up to them, but also affect American technology companies and, by extension, American citizens. So that is something that we'll talk about today at lunch.
That was not an accident. You see how Vice President Vance does it too? He starts with the honey. Hey, I know we have a special relationship. I get that. But we need to talk about this free speech item, which is a really, really big deal. Producer Jim, where was free speech in the Bill of Rights? Was it like the 6th or 7th? I'm confused. I always forget. Producer Jim says the first one. It's the first one. It's almost like the founding fathers. It's almost like they thought about that first. Good job, Producer Jim. I'm glad you had the copy of the Constitution on your desk. The first one. You don't have that, ladies and gentlemen. You don't have anything. And while I'm still in the last few weeks of the show, I have a couple weeks left with you here, while I'm still in my political opinion business role, I would be remiss if I did not cover the endless litany of winning that keeps coming out of this White House. And my gosh, I don't know about you, but I'm enjoying every minute of it. Breaking yesterday from Nick Sorter on Twitter, President Trump and Secretary Rubio secured the extradition of 29 top cartel leaders from Mexico to the United States for prosecution. Now, this means a lot to me, folks. folks. Rafael Caro Quintero, who murdered a DEA agent, was just flown into New York and handed over. Producer Jim told me that was the Kiki Camarena case, which I encourage you to look up. It's a very disturbing story, horrifying story, what happened. But if you toy with our agents or our military, you're going to find out the hard way that we will never stop until we get you. President Trump is as serious as a heart attack over this. And this goes to show you again that all of the people out there, here, play that on VO so we can all kind of celebrate this wonderful moment together. Here are some of the worst people in the world, video of them being brought to the United States, where we know now, regardless of a change in power or anything, that these people are likely not going to make it out of prison. I don't mean make it out of prison like they're going to be dead. I mean, they will be locked up and not free to commit to their criminal enterprises again. This is folks, the guy's only been in office. What, are we at 6 weeks now? It almost feels like dog years. And I mean that as a compliment. Does it not? Guys, it feels like he's been in office 5-6 years at this point. Do you even have, by the way, one quick thing before I take a break. Have you ever seen a former president fall off the map as quickly as Joe Biden? Have you heard a word from this guy? I mean, I get they do the former president thing, but it's almost like the presidency never happened. Yeah, he said, I wish, Justin. Folks, Trump is about results. This is what he wants. He doesn't want talk. He wants do. He's telling Mexico, this is what has to get done. Do it or this is going to happen. He's not kidding. Don't mistake maximalist rhetoric. I hate the line, and you should too. Take Trump seriously, but not literally. No, I promise, take him literally sometimes, or you are going to get your negotiating caboose kicked. There are times he is literally serious. When he says tariffs, he means it. It's not an effective negotiating tool if you don't mean it. Quick break, and we're going to get back to, gosh, the Alinsky principle here that they're using to just go after Elon Musk because they are so afraid of just turning over this rock and looking at what government's been doing with your money. The Alinsky principle. I'm going to show it to you because once you see it, you can never unsee it. And you'll see how it's in effect now. The left this is the hill they're going to die on. They know this Elon effort to clean up government can't continue. Hey, if you're a gun owner who thinks the battle's over because Donald Trump won, think again. The threats haven't disappeared. They merely evolved. To help defend yourself and your loved ones in today's world, you should stay informed about the latest strategies. That's where the USCCA's free expert-led in-person training classes come in. Simply visit uscca.com/class to sign up for a class near you. I love classes all the time. You got to keep your education going on and your training. With over 50 options to choose from, you'll find the perfect fit. Some of their most popular classes include Should I Shoot? When you can use force, where you can learn what is justified to protect yourself, your family, and your home, and defense shooting fundamentals, and women's situational awareness and personal safety. As a responsible gun owner, you owe it to yourself and your family to receive training from some of the best in the country. Don't let your firearm become a liability instead of an asset. And listen, the expert instructors at the USCCA are second to none. So don't hesitate. Go to uscca.com/class right now. Register for a free training class in your area. Empower yourself, prepare for the worst, and pray for the best. Sign up today at uscca.com/class. Oh, man, I'm tell you, sorry, guys, but every show, I keep saying this bittersweet thing, and if I'm overusing it, just say shut up and get back to the content, but I'm really going to miss you guys a lot. This is, I so enjoy doing this, and every single day, every second now, I watch that clock tick down. Every second, it's a pleasure to be here with you. You guys and ladies have been so supportive of us, so I'm sorry. I'm just going to say it as often as I can because I really do love you guys. So the Saul Alinsky rule, number 13. Listen, this was a leftist organizer, Saul Alinsky, but that doesn't make the rules he propagated wrong just because we disagreed with his politics. This is an effective target to really propagate a story rather than a story. I hate to say it, but to hurt someone. I don't mean physically, but narrative-wise, to damage and destroy someone. Rule 13, pick the target, freeze it, personalize it, and polarize it. Cut off the support network, isolate the target from sympathy, go after people and not institutions. People hurt faster than institutions. Now, I'm going to play an interesting game here with you. It's not meant to mess around with your brain, but about 80% of the Democrat Party is still scattershot and hasn't focused on a message. There's about 20% of them, lawmakers, lobbyists, opinion makers, hosts, who have decided to focus on Elon Musk and the Doge because they realize that the left-wing governing model of big government will fall apart if people realize what's actually happening with their taxpayer dollars. So I had to write this down at the end. I took a bunch of notes on today's sheet. So I always tell you that media people and our ideological opponents out there, they're playing this narrative game where they want to tell you a story rather than the story. But here's the kicker. You can always tell it's a story rather than the story when a story is different from a story they told you just before Donald Trump got in office. So before Donald Trump got in office, we were told by the left that immigrants are fantastic. Illegal, legal, open borders are great. They may not have said it directly, but you know that's what they were thinking. Anyone in the chat disagree? Immigration is a wonderful thing. Legal, illegal, doesn't matter. Sanctuary cities even protect criminal illegals, which is insane. So this is a strange line of attack from Democrat Rep. Marcy Kaptur. So now Elon Musk, because he's an immigrant, is a bad guy? I'm a little confused. So now immigrants are bad? My wife, Paula's an immigrant because she's confused too. We're trying to figure this out. Like, this is how you know a story from the story. You doubt me? Here, check this out yourself.
Mr. Musk has just been here 22 years, and he's a citizen of 3 countries. I always ask myself the question, with the damage he's doing here, when push comes to shove, which country is he loyalty to? South Africa? Canada? Or the United States? And he's only been a citizen, I'll say again, 22 years.
I'm not messing around with you folks when I say this. I don't understand what you're saying here. I thought your line of attack a few weeks ago was that immigrants were fantastic, legal, illegal, Venezuelan gang members you were protecting. Now, Justin just said it. He's like, Dan, you missed it. It's successful immigrants with multi-billion-dollar, almost trillion-dollar enterprises. Those are the best. What? Do I have this right? We got a few more for you. You're going to see throughout the show, okay? So new stories for today, new narratives. I guess immigrants are bad. Fascinating. I never knew that. Government shutdowns are good again. Really? Oh. And then the last one is Elon supports apartheid. He does. I'm going to tell you something. Well, you know what? Let me play it first. It's Joy Behar on The View. So, everybody kind of just like take it all with a grain of salt. I'm serious when I say this, though. I'm not kidding around. She better be really careful with this. I mean, he's a public figure and all. You have an actual malice standard, but this could result in litigation and a lawsuit. You better be damn sure. I think she came back later and tried to dial it back, but this is a really, really out there claim about Elon. But remember Olinsky's Rule 13. Isolate the target. Elon Musk's our guy. Train your fire on Elon Musk. Watch this.
And Elon Musk kisses his butt and strokes his tiny ego or big ego, whatever it is. And he doesn't get to he can take a nap while the guy who was not born in this country, who was born under apartheid in South Africa, so has that mentality going on. He was pro-apartheid, as I understand it.
He's a naturalized citizen.
Right?
Now.
He's a naturalized citizen.
Now he's a naturalized citizen.
Oh, really? How did he do that? Did he come over the border legally?
He had an H-1B visa, I believe.
He flew in.
Yeah, he allegedly overstayed that visa.
Yeah, but I think this is just perfectly wonderful for Trump. He can take a nap and let this foreign agent, an enemy of the United States, do his job.
Once in a while, Guy just... don't be suing me, okay? Oh, okay, look. See, she's already worried about it. Guy just nailed it. Guy said, Dan, if you are in the legal profession and you really want to make money, like you're a hustler and an entrepreneur, Guy said, what do you think the best job is? And I was confused. I'm like, where's he going with this? He's like, The View. He goes, can you imagine the billable hours over there? There's probably a 24-hour shift of people. There's like an 8 to 4, 4 to 12, midnight shift, 12 to 8. Then you got a training shift on the back end, like training to reinforce the guys. So if anyone goes down sick, can you imagine the billable hours out of The View? How many corrections did Sonny Hostin have to issue on that show? What was it? Was it like 5 or 6? And it's just endless. Here's what's going on over there. In my opinion, having, done a TV show and doing content creation here like they do. They just don't do their homework. So they go in and they spout off, and then the lawyer goes, where did you get that? I don't know. I saw it from a Twitter account. I hate Elon.x or whatever. And I just repeated it. Why? Why did you do that? You got to be careful, man. You better bring receipts on your show. It's another reason I highly recommend the Dan Bongino rule, which is just wait a couple days before you draw a conclusion. Talk about whatever you want. I'm not here to tell you what to talk about. But if you just let the facts come out, you're seeing it with this Gene Hackman case. Him and his wife and the dog died. Initially, it was carbon monoxide. Why did we not report that yesterday as a fact? And I tell you that was just out there because right now the gas company's saying, we don't have any problems. And all of a sudden the local police department's like, well, there may be some signs here that are causing us to investigate. Just wait. You want to be effective in this business? Just report what you know. Hey, a famous Hollywood actor, Gene Hackman, Crimson Tide, great movie. Unforgiven, best movie ever. Played Little Bill. Guy died with his wife. They were found by some guy working around the house with the dog. You don't have to get into all kinds of theories. I know it's crazy because everybody wants to be first, but this is what happens when Elon is pro-apartheid. Do you have any evidence of that at all? Here was the 5 yesterday. One of my favorite things to watch is Jesse Waters and Greg Gutfeld fighting back against Jessica Tarlov. I love the 5. I'm like obsessed with the show. It's one of the rare shows I will make appointment viewing. This happened yesterday too. Check this out.
I think is a positive sign for Democrats, though, is there seems to be a bit of coalescing around a message that is resonating. So Hakeem Jeffries gave a press conference today. He had up 2 signs, and one of them says Elon Musk is making $8 million a day in government contracts. The average Medicaid recipient gets $65 a day. And we know in the new spending bill that Speaker Johnson has put forward and that narrowly passed the House that you're going to why are you this like, actually
you
matters
this was
to
this
you.
Great new message, and I got bored.
Here, you got bored the second I opened my mouth. No, but it does matter to say that somebody who is running the government in a serious capacity is and supposed to be rooting out waste, fraud, and abuse is making $8 million a day, and they want to cut your Medicaid.
Yes, Jessica, 100%. Elon is definitely doing this for the money. You guys know that? Elon's struggling a little bit. Hey, folks, if he has a Rumble channel, can you give him a tip in the tip jar? Elon is definitely hurting for money. Last I checked, he's worth, what, 400,000? No, Guy's saying no. Million. No, not me. Oh, billion, like with a B. And not an Austin Power. Million? No, $1 billion. I'm reasonably confident Elon Musk, he's going to be okay. Jess, he's going to be okay. Good to see. The Gutfeld smirk, I can't get enough of, by the way. What did you see him at the end, the smirk? He's like, it's a narrative. It's just not working. But did you see how she gave away the whole thing? And it's fine. It's what they do. I guess it's not personal for me. But she says the Democrats are coalescing around a story. Saul Alinsky, Rule 13. It's not working because, guys, you are the media now. You are the media. And you're going to have to be the media while I'm away from you, too. That's hard to say. Guys are going to have to take that football, and you're more than capable. There's a number of great hosts out there, especially on this channel. Take that football and run with it. Still laughing over Guy. That's a great point, Guy. I should go to law school and just apply to be right? And be the View guy. I never have to work again. Forget it. You'd be the billable OT hours on that network must be amazing. I wonder sometimes if the legal team has like a little like bat signal, like Joy said something, and then they just rush in like with the little like bat legal car, and they come in there. Joy, we're gonna talk after the show again. Guy said that they have permanent finger marks on their face from the face palms every single day. Oh man, that was good, Guy. Once in a while, you get a ringer in there. I'm gonna miss that too. You're gonna have to call me down at the FBI office one time and drop a couple of ringers on me, put a smile on my face. Moink, I'm kidding, obviously. Moink.com/Bongino. Hey, it said that 4 companies control over 80% of the U.S. meat industry. Reports say China now controls the largest portion of U.S. pork. They're using tactics. These companies crush American family farms, and with additives they're putting in our food, Americans are stuck with sketchy meat. So what can you do about it? Here's a company that came out swinging on behalf of American family farms and your family's food security. Moink, M-O-I-N-K. Moink's meat comes from animals raised outdoors. They deliver meat straight to your doorstep at prices you can actually afford. Born, raised, and harvested right here in the USA. They recently sent me their meat is absolutely fantastic. We've been eating it pretty much every night, and you can really taste the difference in quality. The steak is amazing. It's really making a big difference in our meals. Everything just tastes incredible. Support American family farms. Join the Moink movement today at moinkbox.com/Bongino right now and get free wings for life. What a deal. They're the best wings you'll ever taste for free, but for a limited time. So spelled Moink, M-O-I-N-K, moinkbox.com/Bongino. That's moinkbox.com/Bongino. And our last sponsor today, before I get back to some more, this thing on the, shutdowns are good again, folks, apparently. Stay tuned. I thought they were bad. They're good again. If your old windows and doors are rotting and rusting, or they're warped and cracked and chipped, they can be drafty and inefficient, which often leads to higher energy bills. Now's the time to replace your windows and doors with Renewal by Andersen. You can conveniently get a free consultation. They have more 5-star reviews than other leading full-service window placement companies, and they can do it all for you, the homeowner, with a no-hassle process. Also, Renewal by Andersen offers limited, fully transferable warranty coverage because they stand by the quality of their work for years to come. Right now, Renewal by Andersen is offering a free in-home consultation on quality, affordable windows and doors for no money down, no monthly payments, and no interest for a year. That's Bongino. Text Bongino to 200-300, 200-300 for a free consultation to save $379 off every window and $779 off every door. The savings won't last long. So text Bongino, my last name, Bongino, 200-300. That's Bongino to 200-300. Texting privacy policy and terms and conditions posted at textplan.us. Texting enrolls for recurring automated text marketing messages. Messages and data rates apply. Reply stop to opt out. Thank you, Renewal by Andersen. We appreciate it. Okay, back to the show. Folks, here's the hysteria again. They cannot have this Doge looking at inefficiencies throughout the government. This is going to be one of the things that's on my mind, has been on my mind for a long time. There is absolutely no reason for the government to be operating on systems that were a big thing with the Commodore 64 in the 70s and 80s, okay? Politico, Doge is now dramatically raising the potential for a government shutdown. This is fascinating. Now the Democrats are using shutdowns as a leverage tool. We were told forever that a government shutdown was a disaster. People were going to die. Planes were going to fall out of the sky. Puppies were going to die. Grandma was going to be thrown off the cliff. People were going to be passing out. Social security checks weren't going to arrive. China was going to evade because the military wouldn't give it. We were told, none of this, of course, is actually true, but we were told government shutdowns were to be avoided at all costs. We were even told falsely that government shutdowns were the cause of a bond rating disaster, when if you actually read the report, that is not what they said. So it's kind of bizarre to see the Democrats now take this different turn where now government shutdowns are good again. Again, this is the difference between us story and the story. And the hallmark of us story is when a story changes repeatedly. The story never changes. Us story always does. Here's a federal employee. We played this before the show, going through the rundown, and we listened to it, and all of us were like, really? So you're working, you get an email. Just to be clear, it's not personal, folks. You're working at a job in the federal government. You're working. This is what the lady says. Gets this email from OPM and says, hey, listen, list 5 things you're doing while you're working. Why am I bringing that up? Because it should be really easy while you're doing things to just send an email. Hey, matter of fact, I'm doing it right now. But that's not how it's framed by this individual. Check this out.
The email that came out wanting us to justify our jobs with 5 things we did last week was on Saturday night. Yeah. And I was literally working on Saturday night to make up for all the distractions I had had the previous week, which came from the executive branch. And so I'm working, trying to catch up on things, and then I get that email on top of it. It's very hard to keep your train of thought when you're getting threatened and harassed like that.
Threatened and harassed. It's an email requesting you just list what you're doing. How difficult was this? Do you see the disparity in how the free market, private sector, small, medium, big businesses operate and the government? This is not unusual. Do you have any idea how many people get a quarterly, weekly review email or a meeting like that every week going, what did you do? This is a loser of an argument. I don't know how many times you're going to have to hear that. And the AstroTurf effort to destroy Doge and a more efficient government paid for by our taxes, the AstroTurf effort is getting exposed. Speaker Mike Johnson was on with Caitlin Collins last night talking about these town hall protests. Folks, I'm not telling you everybody that shows up to protest against the Doge, everyone who shows up is a paid protester. I'm just telling you the left has a history of this, and there's some evidence that a lot of this is being ginned up by left-wing groups that have an agenda, and the constituents are actually being drowned out who support this effort. Check this out.
Do you have concerns that that's anything that Democrats will be able to use to run against those Republicans?
No, because no, I don't. Because the videos you saw of the town halls were for paid protesters in many of those places. These are Democrats who went to the events early and filled up the seats. If the videos had panned,
you can't argue they were all
building,
paid protesters, though, Mr. Speaker.
Many of them were.
A Republican acknowledged they were his constituents.
One Republican acknowledged they were his constituents. That's fantastic. Okay, but they had Democrats come and fill the seats early, all right? This is an old playbook that they pulled out and ran, and it made it look like that what is happening in Washington is unpopular. But I'm going to tell you, Caitlin, the American people are behind what's happening. The Doge efforts is polling over 80% right now. They want us to find efficiencies in the federal government. They want the government to be smaller and leaner and more accountable to the taxpayers, and that's what these efforts are all about. That's what the Republican Party is about. That's what our commitment is to do, to make government work better for the people. This is a restoration of common sense above everything else. And I think the American people are going to remain in favor of what's happening here.
Okay. Those lawmakers do also represent Democrats. That doesn't mean they were paid to show up if they're upset about this.
Okay. Receipts incoming in a second, but stand by. You notice what she does there, Caitlin Collins. Speaker Johnson says there are paid protesters. She then changes the argument to what? Did you catch it? I'll get it in the chat. She says, well, they're not all paid. That's not what he said. He did not say every person there is a paid protester. You're switching the argument. Are you going to be a journalist or an opinion host? Because that's an opinion. He did not say that. Mostly unpaid, right? Mostly paid, right? Well, now, if you ever want to read an interesting take on this, how the Democrats and liberal groups advance a narrative, read the book Revolt Against the Masses by Fred Siegel. It's a fascinating book. I didn't publish it or anything. It's a great book. It's an older book. He talks about how the combination of media folks, there, you saw that, interest groups that pay people to do this stuff, and congressional committees can advance an agenda and make it appear real, like this is some kind of national groundswell for government waste and abuse. Well, that's not the case. Put up the stuff. Here are the headlines first. Here, you see how they settle on a message? Speaker, MSNBC, Speaker Mike Johnson, without evidence. Of course, you got to throw that in there. Whenever they say without evidence, by the way, it means what, Justin? There's a significant amount of evidence, right? Pans town hall critics as paid protesters. Here's the Hill. Johnson claims town hall protesters, quote, paid by Democrats. It goes on. Daily Beast. Johnson tries to shrug off anti-Doge town halls as the work of paid protesters. One more. Mike Johnson, independent, claims paid protesters are GOP town halls. Then backtracks when asked for proof. He did no such thing. And then we have this article in the Washington Beacon. Red District Doge protests cited as proof of broad Musk backlash were organized by left-wing groups. They know the George Soros-funded groups Indivisible and Move On were at the center of the demonstrations. Both groups launched national, quote, mobilization efforts targeting the, quote, Trump-Musk agenda and Trump-Musk coup during the recess period. Again, this is called evidence. It's called receipts. This is what we do. I am not telling you. You know, this is how the truth. I'm not telling you everyone there is funded by a George Soros group. I'm not telling you that. I, however, am telling you that their story, that, this is all pure as the driven snow, no one's there, paid to be there, is likely BS. Here's the good news. Folks, a lot of this is funded by a wing of the party obsessed with basically DEI funding for all kinds of initiatives overseas that are censorship driven. And what the stuff driving all this, a lot of it is DEI. And it is really, really taking it on the chin right now. I bring this topic up a lot. You know, we cover a lot of economics, some cultural stuff, some foreign policy stuff. I bring this up a lot because what irks me most about DEI, and I think you guys understand this, I know you do, is it is racist on its face. When you're hiring and firing and admitting people into colleges for a bunch of limited resource things, like a college admission spot, and you say to someone, well, we're going to emphasize these traits, whatever it may be, LGBTQIA, BIOPC, skin color, religion, whatever it may be, it's zero sum. You are discriminating actively against someone else. This is not hard to figure out. And a lot of these companies are starting to figure out, as cases start to percolate up to the Supreme Court, one there right now, by the way, that they could face severe liability for this. Politico, court allows CIA to fire employees who worked on DEI. You're telling me again, Donald Trump can't manage the branch? The View makes a comeback here as well. See how the show all kind of ties in together? Sunny Hostin, Queen of the Corrections, what's she on her fifth or sixth on that thing we played on the show weeks back? Here's Sunny Hostin again making the case to kind of save DEI, but I want you to listen to the language. And I'd like you to tell me how DEI isn't racist on its face. Tell me. Again, tell us like we're teenagers. Explain slowly. Use small words. Check this out.
I don't want to rely upon the benevolence of an Elon Musk who grew up in apartheid South Africa. I don't want to rely on that. I want the opportunity, simply the opportunity to compete, just the opportunity to compete. And that's what diversity, equity, and inclusion programs are. And by the way, studies show that those companies that embrace diversity, equity, inclusion do better. They make more money. People are happier there. They're reflective of the country. And so anyone that isn't, in my opinion, supportive of diversity, equity, and inclusion initiatives, I think they either don't lack the facts or they don't care.
Okay, I strongly encourage you to actually read up on that. The evidence she cites is nonsense. There is a whole body of research on this that does not indicate that as well. Folks, I'm not sure how you're going to get a company to engage in widespread cohesion and an esprit de corps when people who don't meet certain criteria have to fight extra hard to get a promotion. Yeah, that's not team building right there. That's team annihilating. Now we gave you kind of in the beginning the Saul Alinsky tactic where a limited portion of the Dem party's focused on, they're focused on Elon and the Doge. But I'm going to tell you something. The rest of the party has a real lack of a message. James Carville said the other day that when it comes to Donald Trump right now, some of the stuff he's doing, Carville's obviously a left-wing kind of tactical messaging guru on the left for the Democrats. He's been around forever. He has this theory of don't just stand there, do nothing. The Democrats can't figure this out, and they're scattershot all over the place right now. Here's what I'm talking about. USA Today, consumers are boycotting major retailers. A blackout February 28th, which last time I checked was today. Folks, is this going to be as effective as the Chick-fil-A boycott? Do you remember that? Do anyone in the chat remember the infamous left-wing Chick-fil-A boycott? What is it, about 10, 15 years ago? The reason I remember it is I don't know if I was running for office or what, but I was up in Frederick, Maryland on the day the Chick-fil-A boycott was supposed to happen, and the line to get a chicken sandwich was about 4 hours long. This is going to completely backfire again. I highly recommend you go out and boycott things today. Go out and buy them. But I'll prove it to you again. When I used to work at Fox, there's a Chick-fil-A right across the street from Fox in the middle of liberal Manhattan, right? The line is around the corner every single day. On boycott day, on non-boycott day, it doesn't matter. It's up to us to show our economic power too. I highly recommend you go out and buy some stuff today. Here is a liberal on TikTok, very offended about that, saying that the normal people, quote, the normal people should basically close up their wallets today and what, do damage to the economy and companies because we're not all supporting racist DEI policies? This doesn't sound normal to me. Check this out.
In case you haven't heard, this coming Friday is a total economic blackout. The idea here is that we as normal people, we do have power, and the power is through our dollars. So you spend $0 on Friday, February 28th. You don't go grocery shopping. You don't get gas. You don't buy anything on Amazon. You don't go to fast food. You don't go to Starbucks. You literally spend $0 this coming Friday for a full 24 hours. Again, this is Friday, February 28th. There's going to be more of these, but this is the first major one. So I hope you'll be willing to participate because we do have power. The power is through our wallets.
Folks, we have power too. We have wallets. A lot of us work for a living too and have cash to spend. This backfires spectacularly nearly every single time they try this. I'm not here to give them political lessons on how to isolate and follow Alinsky's Rule 13. Some of them are figuring it out, nor do I want to. It's not my job. I'm just telling you, this is not a message. What exactly are we boycotting again? Normal people, guys. Normal people. Democrats are in shambles. Again, many of them cannot seem to focus on a single message here. Therefore, they're all over the place. Play Gavin Newsom, would you? Did you see this one yesterday? Listen, Gav, the governor of California. I've had a podcast, very successful, with the #1 live stream yesterday again. Thank you very much for supporting the show in the final couple weeks here. We really appreciate it. You guys are the best. But Gavin Newsom, the radically far left governor of California, is hell-bent on launching a podcast right now. Let's see how he does in the liberal space. And he's saying he's going to invite his opponents on. Hey, that would be a good thing. If I was still wearing the public commentator hat and opinion, I'd go on the show. I'd love to debate this guy. California versus the Florida model. I'll do it anytime. I got a Ron DeSantis clip coming up next, too, to show you that. But check this out.
We need to change the conversation. And that's why I'm launching a new podcast. And this is going to be anything but the ordinary politician podcast. I'm going to be talking to people directly that I disagree with, as well as people I look up to. But more important than anything else, I'll be talking directly with you, the listener. Real conversations. What's going on with the cost of eggs? What are the impacts, real impacts to you around tariffs? What power does an executive order really have? And what's really going on inside of Doge? Look, there's an onslaught of information that we take in. So let's take it to the sources without the typical political mumbo jumbo. In the first few weeks, we're going to be sitting down with some of the biggest leaders and architects in the MAGA movement. This is Gavin Newsom.
Harley Glam Girl in the chat. Run your state, dude, right? I mean, imagine you're a California resident right now. You've got an illegal immigration crisis, a crime crisis, a government services crisis. You've had massive fires wipe out significant portions of America, one of America's most powerful cities. You've got residents who are taxed to death, businesses fleeing. You've got your residents fleeing to Nevada and Texas. You've got a state overwhelmed with budget problems, bloated government, identity politics, and Gavin Newsom's launching a podcast? You have nothing else to do? Contrast that with the governor of Florida, Ron DeSantis. Here's Ron DeSantis talking about the border crisis, substantive stuff. This is why these state models could not be any different. I had Byron Donalds on my radio show yesterday. He is now announced for governor. See who else jumps in the race there. But you want to talk about a state that's really well run? Move to Florida, and you'll see what I'm talking about. The differences are profound. Check this out.
When President Trump was running against Kamala Harris, and they had a debate about the border, Harris said, because the border was what it was, there was a lot of legacy media that tried to act like it wasn't a big deal, but people saw what was happening. So it wasn't credible to say that it wasn't happening. So what Harris said was, well, we wanted an immigration bill and you guys helped tank it. That would have helped us secure the border. And then candidate Trump turned to her and said, you don't need a bill, just do it. So he became president, and what happened? Did he need a bill to secure our country? No, he just did it. And so you have a 94% drop in border crossings since January 20th and year over year, however you want to do it. That's remarkable. That shows what Biden and Harris were saying was not true. They were selling you snake oil. You didn't need legislation. You just needed a determined president.
Why are we playing that clip? Any idea? Fire it up in the chat. Any idea? What did I tell you before the election with the Biden-Harris agenda on the border? The Immigration Nationality Act gave President Biden all the powers he needed at the time to exclude any class of aliens for any reason for as much time as he needed. All you had to do was look at it. We put it on the screen 1,000 times. He was acting like it didn't exist. So what happens? Donald Trump swears in January, becomes president, says, hey, I used the INA before. Let's use it again. And look what happens. The border we were told can't be fixed is fixed like overnight, just like we told you. I'm not going to steer you wrong. Folks, thanks again for tuning in. I really appreciate it. We have about 10 shows left with you over the course of the next 2 weeks. Hoping to get in the studio next week. It is done. The guys are training on the new equipment. I just want you to see it. Put a lot of work into it. Avita and Haley Karania will be working their shows from there. You can always check out rumble.com/Avita to watch Avita's show. Haley will have that URL on Rumble up for you. Stat, she's going to be the new 6 p.m. show, so we really appreciate your support there. Follow her on X, Haley. She is she's like 5x her following, I think, since the Bongino crew got behind her. So we really appreciate it. I'll see you on the radio show here a little bit, and back here on Monday at 11 a.m.